education.
Computers make no sense. Throw some metal in a box and boom. What the heck is going on here? Inside your PC is a central processing unit or CPU. It's basically just...
Madam Speaker, 2 days ago, I rose on the floor of this House to call for the resignation of the president of Sonoma State University in California. This institution is one of a disturbing number that have chosen to deal with this highly disruptive trend of encampments on campuses, not by even-handedly enforcing universities' rules and enforcing the law, but rather by caving to the demands of this small minority of unlawful protesters. Caving to their demands, appeasing their desired changes in university policy in order to make university policy anti-Israel and anti-Semitic in nature. What happened at Sonoma State was particularly egregious. In response to the demands of the illegal encampment, the university president agreed to divest, agreed to an academic boycott, agreed to even scrub any mention of Israel from university materials. Perhaps worst of all, he agreed to convert the unlawful encampment into a permanent advisory council with the members of the encampment responsible for picking who was part of it, and they would then have the power to enforce these anti-Israel policies going forward. Well, we finally have a little bit of good news, in that this call was heard by the Chancellor of Cal State University, and that university president is now on administrative leave. Of course, that doesn't go far enough. He has no business leading a university in our state or in this country when you are willing to institutionalize the anti-Semitic demands of those who are disrupting the university by unlawful means. Unfortunately, Sonoma State University is not alone in California, as you can see right here from these headlines. There are a number of other universities within the California State University system, within the University of California system, and at other institutions, public and private, across our state and across the country, where suddenly administrators have decided to negotiate with these encampments and to reach agreements with them based on what they want. It is hard to overstate just how perverse this truly is. Let's leave aside for a moment the substance of what they're agreeing to, and just consider the message that this sends, the precedent that it sets. That the way to get what you want on a university campus is not by presenting a reasoned argument, not by convincing the governing body and your fellow students and other stakeholders. Rather, it is to try to use force to get your way. And these unlawful encampments, we heard an example from a student at Harvard in a committee hearing the other day. They are refusing to leave, they are occupying public spaces, they are disrupting the function of the university. In this particular example, they had self-appointed campus monitors who would follow Jewish students on campus around and monitor their activities. We've seen examples of occupying buildings. We've seen students being stopped from entering the campus, entering the library, entering other public spaces. We've seen loud disruptions that stop academic activities from proceeding.
Use scientific notation. Decimal point can be signed if they're negative, and floating point numbers for decimal values. They're called floating point because the decimal point can float around to trade off precision with range. This is
precision. In a number of cases, universities have responded in a way that is also unacceptable, which is by canceling classes, canceling graduation ceremonies, and thereby punishing all students. But what message did this send? That those who are engaging in these unlawful activities, many of them not students, by the way, with a lot of funding coming from the outside, we're going to give them what they want. We're going to reward those tactics.
but in a language like
What
C,
exactly
explicitly
does
declares
that
Gave you the
encourage
right
in the future?
to deny it.
Of course, what it does
Could you prove
is
in
encourages
Sigma?
these tactics to be repeated.
MP.
which is denoted by this
And the
Through
reason
eschatology
that these tactics are
about
being resorted to
whatever
is
Gresham's
because
law of each
those
of
who are
these
behind
small
the
steps were
encampments
all
know
that
that their
in
argument
general
is
to a data
completely morally
compression
bankrupt
of
and
whether
bigoted,
that's star rate that
and would
exoplanet
never
or
prevail
red Jupiter
in
not
a
hanging
reasoned
off Orion's star
dialogue,
wasp, whatever.
which is why it's such a farce that some of these university leaders have patted themselves on the back and said, oh, dialogue is the answer. Negotiations are the answer.
Because James Webb and
The
Hubble
problem is they're
definitely
only
figure
giving
out why.
voice to those who are creating the disruption.
This is called a memory leak.
When these so-called negotiations are going on,
To avoid this mess, high-level
it's only those who are responsible for the problem that are being listened to.
different data types take up a
We're not seeing
Well,
any
C+
evidence that they're
from this
bringing in
current IVR is a
representatives
little
from
different. I'm gonna
Jewish
argue
student groups,
what you need to
or for that
program
matter,
computer
the
engineer.
broader law-abiding
legislation
student
and investment
community,
for
student body, to come and have their voice. Or rather, they're elevating this small,
makes me
disruptive
ready for
minority
divine
and
astrologists
privileging
about
their despicable
subframes and
points of
orbitals,
view.
about why solar cycles happen.
I
and
want
what
to
predict
submit,
off of that
for the
stuff.
record, a letter that I have written to the leaders of our public education systems in California.
Galactic Gear would be long.
creating it, so when it's full, you can't add anything.
This is to President Drake, the president of the University of California, and Chancellor Garcia, who is
To
the
the
Chancellor of
aliens that are
California
about to
State
invade Milky
University.
Way, I'd say, well, it's still
I'll
Galactic
read a few
Gear,
excerpts
right?
here.
It's-
We're sending them this letter today, and I'm hoping that it will put a stop to this incredibly disturbing trend. Over the past month, campuses in both
For
the
you,
UC and
satellite
CSU
galaxy and the
systems
Milky Way.
have been disrupted by illegal
could argue.
encampments. These encampments violate university
There's
rules,
Betelgeuse and a
violate
couple
the
of black
law,
holes that-
and have given rise to other disruptive activities
yet
posing
they
a threat
exist
to the
in
safety,
space.
civil rights, and
It's
learning of
evil.
students.
CMB.
Some UC and CSU campuses have responded by rewarding the perpetrators and incorporating their anti-Semitic demands into university policy. Specifically,
You're saying
a
because I
number
don't
have agreed
lead
to
with
boycott,
Judaism,
divest, and
therefore
sanction
I'm the enemy?
programs, BDS, relating
I'm
to
not
Israel.
a public school
Just this
that
week, we saw Sonoma
argued
Praise
how
the
to
state's
do the
president
temple,
agree to end all study
how to
abroad
deal
programs
with
in Israel
demons as they
and
walk up
divest from
students
companies
to the desk.
associated with Israel. President Lee even went so far as to promise to scrub university materials of references to Israel and to convert the illegal encampment into a permanent advisory council charged with enforcing the new anti-Israel policies. The letter then goes on to list
Name and age usually
several
give you the
other
ID,
examples
but if
within
they
the UC
have
and CSU
some
systems, at
standard
UC
model
Riverside,
differentials.
at UC Berkeley, at CSU Sacramento, at CSU San Francisco. And continues, irrespective of the merits of these policy changes, which, to be clear, are altogether unmeritorious, bigoted, and quite possibly illegal under California's anti-BDS law, allowing a small minority to get their way through force is no way to run a campus. It is not clear what efforts, if any, these campus leaders made to consult with Jewish student
Well, it
groups
would've been but a
or the
small.
broader
I
law-abiding
tried.
student
I got
body
in here what
before
Oak Island and
capitulating
bootstrap
to the
paradox.
demands of encampment participants. There is an urgent need for system-wide action in both the UC and CSU systems to restore order on campus, stop the adoption of BDS policies, and where appropriate, appoint new campus leadership. I'm a member of the Education and Workforce Committee and chair of the Workforce Protection Subcommittee, and am actively involved in the House of Representatives' ongoing investigations of anti-Semitism in higher education. I tell these university system leaders that I would like a timely response as to what steps they are taking to avoid further damage to California's universities, which have long been a tremendous asset to our state and country. I will, of course, share with the public the response
don't
that I
know what
received
Alpha did
from
here.
these university
I said nothing.
officials. And moreover, this next week, we have the leader of one campus, UCLA, who will be appearing before our Committee on Education in the Workforce to be held to account for the horrifying events that unfolded on that campus, thanks to the university's failure to take action to protect
All day.